Hi everyone, welcome back. Last video I did cover CS50 game development. This week I will cover the final project I did for this course. The first step was to decide for which reason I wanted to do this game. Yes, to complete the course, but why? It could have been for something like sharing an idea or sharing an experience with others. Unfortunately, my reason was not as noble. I just wanted to improve my skill. I also wanted something with a reasonable scope. What I mean by that is that some game development can take years to make, so I just wanted to keep it simple and reasonable. The second step was to decide which platform. In my case, I did pick Android. Mobile game was a good match for what I was looking for. The third step is to pick the style of your game. You have FPS, RPG, racing, simulation. You have a ton of choice of what you can pick from. In my case, I decided to go with a runner game. The style of the game you pick will also determine which game mechanic you need to develop. So keep that in mind when you develop your plan. It will also help you decide which game engine you want to use. Because the course already also covered Unity, I just decided to stick with it. The fourth step was to decide the environment of my game. Do you want it to be underwater, in the air, on the ground? Do you want your player to be an avatar, a plane, a car? There's a couple of choice and variety you can pick from. I'd keep it again really simple, a forest runner. I also want to say when I work on any project, I like to write ideas down. It helps me organize my thoughts, not just for when I'm developing something on computer, but anything in my life. I find it just to make it so much easier. So at this point, I really had a good idea of what I wanted to produce. Now, the only step left was to start the project. Really easy, I open a Unity and start a new project. For the one that never used Unity before, it can be overwhelming. The first thing you need to know is that Unity works with scene. If you look at the bottom, you will see that for the simple game, I have 5 scenes. Game over, leaderboard, menu, store scene, and the simple scene is my game. I just never change the name for it. In the middle, you have a view of the scene. To the left, you have the listing of all the elements in the game. Choose one of the elements. At the right, you get the inspector, who give you all the details about this item, the location, which script, and which action is referred to. At the bottom, you got all the resources for the development of your game. That include assets, texture, skin, and script. The last, but not the least, is the game. So what I mean by that is through Unity, you are able to test your game and see each element you add, if everything aligned correctly, and what will be the look on the mobile. Now we can look at the main scene of my game. What you can see at the left is the UI, and is represented to the right with the jump button, the left, the right, the how many coins, what's the distance run, the general base of the graphic. And if you look closely, you will see also all the elements in the bottom here. The fastest way to go there is just to change to the main camera and to look around. I will say I will not go in too much in details about how I made it. On YouTube you can find the channel of Jimmy Vegas, and he already did a really good 18-part series about how to do your own surfer game in Unity. I will maybe not go too much in details, but I will still go over each element of the game. The first one is the player, which is technically only a rectangle with a skin and animation on it. And when the game starts, it only moves in one direction. The second part is the trail, also just a rectangle. The third part are obstacles. They are generated automatically. As you can see as I started the game, there's different kind of obstacles with different hitbox. The reason why there's different hitbox is to let the player be able to jump over some of them. By example, this small bush. To make it easy and not to make it too hard for the mobile, each element are generated depending of the distance of the player. So if you look at the game right now, you will see that the player move forward, and depending of his location, the world around him will disappear or appear. It's just to help to save some resource. There's 5 different sides that can be generated randomly between 1 to 5, and each of them have elements that I just took from the Unity store. It's simple to make, and also give the feeling to the player that
outside of the trail is not always the same. The last part I integrate to make this game is the world curve. You will see that the world will change to the right, to the left, up, down. I did try to program it myself, but it was really complex to do, so I just bought the mod directly on the Unity store. It's just to add a little bit of dimension to the game and then make it just a straight line game. I know I didn't go too much in details, that was just to present to you a little bit my final project of this course. That was a really nice challenge that I did for myself. I'm really happy with the result. It is not the most fun game for sure, but it's a really good start, and that was a really good way for me to learn new skill. Everything else for the coding is really quite simple. It's just relation between hitbox, and if you do the CS50 course, you will see that nothing is complex in what I did.
Thank you for watching the video. If you're interested by game development, I really advise you to do the CS50 game development course. It's free on EDX. It's really strong structure. The worst case that can happen is just for you to learn new thing and new skill. And maybe you will see if it's really made for you or maybe not. And just try something else after. Cheers!